Ever since the story about the horrific rape and murder of a young trainee doctor in Kolkata broke, I'd been thinking about how voters in West Bengal look at this issue. To what extent has it impacted the image of West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, and how do voters look at the handling of this case and the public outrage that we've seen? So we commissioned C Voter to do this weekly tracker for us. I want to tell our viewers before I start that this was done over the last 2 days. It has a margin of error of plus minus 5%, and this poll has been done specifically in West Bengal. So that being said, let's get started. I'll take question number 1. Who do you think is to blame for the rape of a young doctor in Kolkata and her subsequent murder? Now look out in the responses how divided voters are. So depending on their political affiliation, voters have given different responses. So those who lean towards the Trinamool say that 39% feel that the hospital management is responsible. This is amongst Trinamool workers. Amongst those who are India Alliance voters, which is Congress plus left, 49% say hospital management is responsible. Amongst BJP voters, 41% say state and police is responsible. Now usually this is not what you see in a poll. Typically on a question like who's to blame for this rape and murder, you would have people directionally pick the same, whether it's the accused, the hospital management, state and police, they typically pick the same option. Here, in all three categories of voters, the responses are quite divided. This is the first question. In a moment I'll take more. So with this, let me introduce you to our guests joining us on this broadcast. We've got Yashwant Deshmukh, director at C Voter. His team has done this poll for us. We've got Amitabh Tiwari, political strategist, with us on this broadcast. Shehzad Poonawala is the national spokesperson of the BJP. Monojit Mondal leans towards Trinamool Congress, and I have Jayanto Ghoshal, who's a senior journalist. Yashwant, you do a lot of polling. Do you see this often, that three different categories of voters, very different responses in, what is a case? It's not a political issue per se, it's a law and order kind of issue, and there's a crime and murder and rape that's happened. Despite that, who's responsible has such varying responses.
Absolutely, Rahul. Generally, when these kind of gender issue questions or things happen, we tend to take cross-tabulation or male and female to see the gender biases. And, you are correctly pointed out that the issues which are not partisan level or politically in that way polarizing, generally on the major things, as we have seen in the recent MOT and on the issue of, say, farmer subsidy or MSP and other, people were just going in one direction regardless of their political affiliation. But here in this case, what we realized that the variation was not in the male and female out there as such. Variation was coming in the political partisanship, which actually is a sorry state of affair, because West Bengal has a very, very unfortunate track record of political violence and the political way of looking at violence and different crimes. So unfortunately, while and we will come up with the for the audience even on the All India survey that we have done on that one, where in the rest of the country we do not actually see much of the political division as such on the issues of rape and murder and gruesome crimes. But in West Bengal, unfortunately, we still do see a trend of different political.
I want to take the next question. How has this rape and murder impacted the image of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee? Let's have those responses on our screen now. How has the Kolkata horror impacted the image of West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee? And let's take a look at the responses. So, amongst BJP voters, 64% say there's been a significant impact on Mamata Banerjee's reputation. Problematically for Mamata Banerjee, even amongst Trinamool voters, 40% say that there's been a significant impact on Mamata Banerjee's impact. Only 19% of Trinamool voters say there's been no impact. Only 19% say there's no impact. Amongst India Alliance voters as well, almost like BJP voters, they're thinking there's been a significant impact. Now, Monojit Mondal, this is problematic from the Trinamool's perspective. Naturally, India Alliance and BJP voters will think that this is tarnishing Mamata Banerjee's reputation, but 4 out of 10 in that sample who were Trinamool voters said that this horrific rape and murder has had a significant impact on Mamata Banerjee's reputation. That should set alarm bells ringing in Trinamool circles.
So I think the kind of perception that has been created in the last 2 weeks or so, in fact, nearly 20 days now, I think it is quite natural that the direction will be like that. But this is mere perception. Mamata Di, as you know, that Mamata Di had to fight this kind of perception battle even in 2021 about corruption, even in 2016, during the middle of the election, that you had that, quote-unquote corruption cases, where incidentally, Suvendu Adhikari himself was seen to be taking money during that point of time. So I think this perception battle after 2011, Mamata Di had to fight, and every time Mamata Di won with something majority. That's what the records of West Bengal election say. This time, the timing of the poll that you are talking about, I will still believe that at least nearly 35-40% people cutting across political line, even among the BJP 64%. That should have been 100% actually. 100% people should have been saying that this is all because of Mamata Di that rape has happened. I mean, this is something that you cannot actually argue about. If you talk about vicarious responsibility, then every political leader, starting from Mamata Di to Narendra Modi, should be taking responsibility for
now Shehzad Poonawalla, we saw the BJP take up Sandesh Khali in a big way before the general elections. You thought, and your party top brass was convinced, that would be a game changer. In the end, Mamata Banerjee came out strong on the 4th of June. Now, the next elections in West Bengal are due only in 2026, so Mamata Banerjee still has 2 years. It's damaged her reputation in the immediate context, but given that elections are still 2 years away, are you concerned that Mamata Banerjee still has a lot of time to recover from the ground that she's lost, like we saw after Sandesh Khali?
First of all, Rahul, I am not very comfortable with the fact that an idea or a movement for justice should be reduced to a subject matter of partisan politics or political dividends. But I understand that what you're doing is an intellectual exercise which you've done every week on important issues of the country. So in respect of that, let me put it this way. Rahul, let's assume that we lose the 2026 elections once again. We get badly thumped in the election. Does that make a wrong issue right?
Not at all.
The question today is that this is an issue of justice for that 31-year-old girl. I understand your question. I'm coming to it. Just give me 10 seconds. Secondly, as far as the Mamata Banerjee's perception or the way that she's being perceived is concerned, and with so many people in the TMC also unhappy about it, is basically for 3 reasons. Those 3 reasons are that Mamata Banerjee has been brazen and she has been living in denial for a very long period of time. But today the water, जैसे कहते हैं ना, पानी सर से ऊपर चला गया है in the case of this particular rape case. Secondly, Mamata Banerjee seems to believe that everything can be hidden away under this liberal media privilege that she gets on a lot of occasions, because many a time senior journalists don't call her out. In fact, they start calling out her cracked, for instance, when she's come out of protests, her entire party has been built on protest, but the way she cracked down on protests, you had senior journalists tweet about the police, not about the protesters who are being beaten up by the police. So she gets a lot of this liberal media privilege and cover fire from a lot of sections of society for various reasons, including some very well known. And thirdly, this time Mamata Banerjee has been unable to, in fact, get her message across to the sections that vote for her the most. See, Sandesh Khali was a rural area. She did not care that much, but the urban area, which has been a potent supporter of Mamata Banerjee this time, she has let them down, and therefore these young people are on the streets demanding justice, and Mamata Banerjee has misread their mood. She has been completely in denial, and the statements she has made, including the one today, that aag laga denge to hum bhi aag laga denge, the way she has allowed the promotion of the principal. When you ask the first question that the hospital authorities are seen as guilty, are the hospital authorities not under Mamata Banerjee? Banerjee. She is the health minister. So how can you divorce the fact that people look at the state as responsible and people, even though they look at the hospital authorities as responsible, somewhere the responsibility lies with Mamata Banerjee. So I would seem to think that the entire focus right now is that Mamata Banerjee's actions have actually led for her problems in this particular issue, because the way she has behaved in this case, it seems that she is doing more of Balatkari Bachao, not Beti Bachao.
Okay, I want to take the next question. How do you view the strike by doctors in protest against the Kolkata horror? Now, here again, what would be very concerning to the Trinamool, which is why, they're as rattled as they are by what's happened, because 31% of Trinamool voters, now forget everyone else, Mamata Banerjee's core voters, 3 out of 10 of them are telling C voter that they think the strike is completely justified. Obviously, amongst BJP voters, 61% say the strike is completely justified, and amongst India Alliance voters, 53% say the strike is justified. So what we saw, Amitabh Tiwari, during the Lok Sabha elections was there was some disaffection amongst BJP voters, which was in part responsible for what happened in Uttar Pradesh. Here we are seeing a very high level of disaffection amongst Trinamool voters, because 31% are saying the strike is justified. 40% are saying Mamata Banerjee's reputation has been significantly dented. Moderately dented is 20%. If I add 40 and 20, that's 60% saying the image has been dented. These are Trinamool workers who are saying this. How do you interpret this data?
Yeah, clearly, even among a big chunk of Trinamool Congress supporters, it seems that this incident has not gone down well, and the handling of Mamata Banerjee of this incident is not being liked even by the Trinamool supporters. Now, 60% of the Trinamool voters are in this survey saying that the impact on Mamata's reputation is significant plus moderate. That's a huge number. It's almost 2/3. 30% people are saying that the strike is justified. So it's a highly polarized society in terms of elections. Now, the others and the India voters do not impact much, because around 85% vote share is between BJP and the Trinamool Congress. However, there is a bit of a dichotomy in the sense that even though only 11% of Trinamool supporters believe that the state or the police and police are responsible, 60% are saying that it has impacted Mamata's image, and 30% are saying that the strike is justified, which means clearly that the handling of the situation, though she may not be responsible for the incident, from the first question we can derive, the handling and the high-handedness perhaps has not gone down well with the supporters.
Jayanto Ghoshal, you speak to people in the Trinamool at all levels. Is this an assessment they accept, that A, there is anger not just amongst BJP and India Alliance voters, there is anger amongst Trinamool voters, and Trinamool voters are saying, 40% of them, that Mamata Banerjee's reputation has been significantly impacted?
Now, I think it is partially correct, because the discontent inside the TMC workers also, this is the hard reality, but this perception may be temporary, because this is a sudden incident, and Yashwant also studied immediately. So I don't know what will be the after 7 days, after 10 days, because the fault line repair also has started from TMC. Look, now it is in a critical juncture of TMC, and consistently, Rahul, I always say that BJP is the beneficiaries West Bengal, no doubt of it. Where BJP was in Bengal, there was a top leadership was always very sorry that Sama Prasad Mukherjee stayed and we have not gained. And now BJP has become the main opposition, and it's a trial and error methodology. And BJP is trying to get the dividend out of this anger, discontent. This is a political party's job. I'm not making any comment. But, this TMC's inside TMC, now Abhishek has come to the stage after 21st July. It's a joint Mamata Abhishek. Again, we have seen today. And in the crisis, now again they are evolving joint strategy. And now the counter offensive strategy to create this, like Sandesh Khali, BJP tried to create the perception and TMC countered that. Already TMC has started that operation also, because we have seen the BJP leaders that they are saying that there should be some killing, and there is some sting operation from the TMC side also. So,
do you want to respond to that, Shehzad Poonawalla? Some of these comments, candid camera, audio conversations of BJP leaders making provocative statements, and the counter offensive that Jayanto talks about. She was able to turn Sandesh Khali around. For a while it looked really bad, particularly on TV and on social media. Ultimately she was able to turn it around. Jayanto thinks a counter offensive is underway, and they'll pick on these comments by BJP leaders to say that deliberately trying to make Bengal burn.
Look, today the comments that have been made by Mamata Banerjee, they are not directed at the BJP. Who is on the streets, Rahul? All of us have gone there, or all of us have seen the visuals. They are doctors, they are youngsters, there are students. And if Mamata Banerjee thinks that every time she's going to get away by characterizing bunch of people who come on the street with genuine grievances as CPM cadre, Maoist cadre, BJP, BAM, RAM, there is a limit to which this can happen. And Sandesh Khali, perhaps the tyranny of distance, as some would say it, did not allow the real picture to emerge, and maybe she got away by characterizing all the women of Sandesh Khali as somebody who sold their integrity for 2,000 or 5,000 rupees. That's what even Abhishek Banerjee said today. But the fact of the matter is that when the same comments were made, the Bam Ram comment was made today in this context, you saw the reaction from the doctors. When Udayan Guha said, "Ungli tod denge," when Kunal Ghosh made those comments, when Arup Chakrabarti said, "Ye boyfriend ke साथ घूमेगी," the reaction has been qualitatively different. It's because this anger is coming from predominantly people who have been staunchest supporters of Mamata on two fronts. One, on the fact that they've seen her as an alternative to the left's politics, and two, that she has been a woman chief minister and they have invested a lot of their faith in her. When they are getting betrayed and let down time and again, right from Park Street rape case, Nadia rape case, Sandesh Khali to post-poll violence rapes, to now, they are now beginning to think that she may be a woman chief minister, but she is even more misogynistic than most of the other people in politics.
Zaira Shah, respond to what Shehzad is saying, because Mamata Banerjee's support base has had women as a very pivotal part of it. Do you think the big fear for her politically, outside of the immediate loss to reputation, is that women could look at her as being just any other chief minister? The fact that she's Didi, the fact that she's their protector, that veneer, that sheen may be lost amongst the women vote bank.
See, good evening, Rahul. Firstly, Mamata Banerjee came to power, on the plank of being a woman protester, a very fiery opposition leader, and she won on the mandate of the minorities and the women of Bengal. However, her popularity is waning away. If you see the Park Street rape case or any other rape case, she engages in, victim shaming, and, she goes out, all out to protect the government or her aides or her political party, as we have seen now in the RG Kar case. Here, the principle of RG Kar was clearly being defended. He was clearly being protected by the state. The police commissioner was being protected by the state. And here also, if you look at her MPs, right from the Lok Sabha MPs to the Rajya Sabha MPs, they were being very feeble, in their attempts, or, in doing away with this entire scar that has affected the entire, not only Calcutta, affected the entire country. So the fiery leaders of MP were also totally, parroting her lines. And they were not calling for any kind of action for days on end till civic right activists, till students, till doctors didn't come up on the roads and start protesting against a very, very gruesome and tragic episode. So I think now, she's losing that empathy wave, that was in her favor earlier, of her being
this, make no mistake, was one of the pillars on which the political edifice of the Trinamool rested. Now, if women move away, it is massively problematic. I want to take the next question on this political stock exchange tracker. Do you think India has become safer for women after the enactment of stricter laws following the Nirbhaya case. Let's take you through the responses to this question. Now, in response to this question, 22% of BJP voters say there's been a significant improvement. 24% of Trinamool voters say there's been a significant improvement. There is awareness, say 20% of Trinamool voters, 17% of BJP voters. Little improvement, early 20s across all four categories of voters. No improvement. See, India Alliance voters seem most disaffected. 37% saying no improvement. 30% of BJP voters saying no improvement. 24% of Trinamool voters saying no improvement and worsen. So there, very, very few of the voters seem to think across political categories that the situation has worsened. Many typically tend to think that there is either little improvement or no improvement. Those are the two categories where there are maximum responses. There are very few, including those in the Trinamool, only 1 in 4 who think that there has been a significant improvement. The bulk of the voters are concentrated between little improvement and no improvement. So not much change there. Do you think stricter punishments for rape will deter such horrific crimes? Let's take you through the responses. Now here, and this is where a populist impulse comes out strong, 56% of Trinamool voters, 55% of India Alliance voters and 63% of BJP voters say stricter punishments will deter rapists. No is only 6%, 5%, 8%. Focus should be on prevention is 6% amongst BJP voters, 8% amongst Trinamool voters. This is the point. Despite Amitabh Tiwari, the fact that just having a law doesn't deter rapes, a lot of the voters seem to think having stricter punishments will lead to lesser rapes. Why do you think? Is that just a case of how people are wired to think rather than go by empirical data about, because we do have strict rape laws, that doesn't seem to be stopping rapists?
Yeah, essentially, if you see, this is linked to the previous question as well, where 60 to 70% of the people across parties are saying that there has been little improvement or no improvement or things have worsened with respect to safety for women in the country. So where 60 to 70% of the people believe, that's a very high number, believe that not much has improved, it is very natural for the people to then express their desire for stricter laws to tackle this. However, as you mentioned, capital punishment is already there for rapists of minor children, if I'm not wrong. So that is not actually working because it is because of the legal system, it is because of the slow process in the judicial courts that these laws are not being able to convert into actual practice, and this is where actually the focus needs to be, in my opinion.
Yashwant Deshmukh, Mamata Banerjee is now talking about punishment within 7 days, that the case must be concluded. That sounds like a very appealing idea. It's impractical in some cases, but do you think, Jayanta was talking about a counter offensive to try and win back the narrative. Do you think moves like this could help?
Well, that counter-offensive started right on the day when she decided I will give it to the CBI, because that was very clear that the case will hand it over to CBI, and right after that, CBI will become answerable. Why the justice is not being done? Why nobody has been? So that's the political side of it. But these two questions, Rahul, are also part of our All India survey, which is non-political, on the general issues of women's security. And yes, West Bengal voters at large, they confluence their perception confluence at these two questions, that they are pretty much in sync with the rest of the India as well. So largely, I think that people are concerned. Nothing much has changed. Number one, laws are there, but implementation is not there, because people do not see. There is a law that the rapist should be, particularly in the minor case, they should be hanged. How many such cases do you know of where actually the law was implemented and the child rapists were taken to the gallows? So that's where the people believe. And then in meantime, we always keep on hearing weird cases of judiciary giving some parole and, converting the death sentence into the life imprisonment, and somebody coming out of the parole and raping again. Those kind of weird things, when they happen.
Saira Shalim, this idea,
somewhere something is rotten, something is wrong. And we have questions even on the judiciary in that way, not in that time, but something is telling me on certain issues, even judiciary is going to face the heat, because on these
See,
kind
I
of things,
think
when they give
this
parole
Mamata
and the criminals
Banerjee's
come out and
reaction.
murder or rape again, they do not
Saira,
serve
Mamata
good
Banerjee
even for the
says
image of judiciary.
hang rapists or punish them within 7 days. Do you think a move like that will help her assuage the concerns of women voters and of those who have young daughters who are worried about their safety?
I think Mamata Banerjee has given a very knee-jerk reaction, because we need to look at a balanced approach to issues like that, to justice, and considering the effectiveness of these severe punishments in rehabilitating offenders. I don't think it really works, because here, if you look at strict penalties, stricter punishment, it might deter some. However, that's not the answer to address the underlying causes of sexual violence, nor is it a contribution to rehabilitation. So I think stricter punishments can be implemented within a framework that respects legal and ethical standards. However, that is not the only answer. So I think this is a very, like a forced reaction, considering the kind of backlash that she is getting from all four quarters. We need to see, that there are fair trials which protects the rights of accused, which are fundamental principles of justice. All that should be ensured within the framework when we are, asking for, a stricter punishments, because we have seen uh, people getting hanged to death, for rapes and murders and everything. Still the rapes are continuing. Look at the Nirbhaya case, look at the unutilized funds. So there's a lot that can be done. However, we need to look at the legal system credibility, if we can, because sometimes it can lead to wrongful convictions, or it can be disproportionately
Shehzad
affect
Poonawala,
certain
this idea
marginalized
that
groups
she'll
also.
take action within 7 days, do you think that could help her send a message to women voters that she's concerned about their
She's
safety
not
and will
sounding
do
very educated.
what can
I'm
be
sorry, she's
done
not
to
sounding
protect them
educated at all.
and to give them justice if something goes wrong? Shehzad.
Yes, I wanted to actually address this. And Rahul, I think it is when Mamata Banerjee is trying this, I'll tell you why it won't work. But let me also interpret the question and the answer that you have given, the strict punishment. I think Indian voters or Indian people, when they say strict punishment, they don't necessarily mean that the intensity of the punishment, they mean certainty of the punishment. So it may not necessarily be sending a person to the gallows, it could, but it means that they should certainly get punished for their acts of crime. That is what is my interpretation of the result, and therefore that's what the people mean by stricter punishment. If you see, the conviction rate in Uttar Pradesh is a 71% on crimes against women, whether it's only 2.5% in West Bengal. So when Mamata Banerjee even says that 7 days mein bhej do gallows mein, the people of West Bengal, particularly the women, will ask, but Mamata Banerjee, how many did you send to the gallows? Or forget gallows, how many did you even end up convicting when they did crimes against women? 2.5%. On the other hand, you have Mr. Yogi Adityanath, when there is a Mohit Khan who rapes a 12-year-old girl, there is a bulldozer that goes and demolishes his property. So that is the justice to be seen to be done, and not just justice to be done. That is the perception I think people are having when they say strict punishment. They mean intensity of punishment is one thing, certainty of punishment should be there. That you should not start defending the person just because the vote bank then does not allow you to speak a word. Like, will Shahjahan go to the gallows? I want to ask Mamata Banerjee from your platform, should Shahjahan hang in 7 days? You did not catch him for 55 days. And now you're saying 7 days mein phansi laga.
Why have you called me just for...
Okay, let Manojit Mandal respond. Sheikh Shahjahan, it took so long just to find him after the charges came out in Sandesh Khali. Shehzad Poonawala says it's a populist measure. It won't find traction because women voters can see through it.
So I don't understand why you have called me, just, sort of keep me sitting and Mamata Di get bashed by all corners. This is absolutely unfairly conducted debate. Who is, doing investigation against Shahjahan? It is CBI. Who is doing investigation here? It is CBI. And the two rape cases that you mentioned about Kamduni and Park State, the Bengal police, Bengal government saw them to be punished. The High Court has acquitted one of them, and two of them have been transferred to life sentence. That's besides the point. But it is the Bengal police, Bengal government in these two major cases that just pointed out, the Bengal police punished them. CBI could not do anything. They asked this question to CBI, what is CBI doing with Shahjahan? Have they even been able to file a charge sheet? What the CBI doing in this case? So again, I'm saying this is Goebel's theory that they are going. It's Mamta di, Mamta di, Mamta di. And why the Kolkata police did their best? It is the CBI who is watching up the case. That is my hunch. But you have to bash Mamta di. You have to target Mamta di. That's been there for the last 10 years. I'm saying this after 2016. And including 3 months back, Sandesh Kali, but you could not do anything. This will definitely not get connected with the voter. People know how what Mamta Di has done for the women in this state, and she wants to do for the entire country. That's why she wrote the letter to the Prime Minister. No answer. Have a good law, have a more law to protect women.
I have a question on how people perceive the role of the courts. Let's take you through the responses to that. How do you view the role of the Kolkata High Court and the Supreme Court in this rape and murder case? You know, much more faith in the judges than there is in our politicians. 74% of Trinamool voters say the courts will ensure justice. 71% of BJP voters say they'll ensure justice. You know, very few people think the courts are slow and ineffective. Very few people think the courts won't have a significant impact. Very few are urging them to do more. You know, it just shows how, at this moment, Jayanto Ghoshal, in the state of West Bengal, the political credibility of the West Bengal government and its chief minister is so low, whereas the credibility and the perception around the ability of the courts to deliver justice is in the 70s amongst BJP and Trinamool voters and late 50s amongst India Alliance voters.
Rahul, really, I don't know, because this figure, this TMC, inside TMC, 74% people are think that High Court is better establishment to give justice than Mamata Banerjee. I don't know really, because my perception is different, because, you know, the judiciary in West Bengal has become the perception among the TMC workers especially, and across the other section of the society also, that High Court has become a BJP's friendly judiciary. This is another perception. And today also Mamata Banerjee said that judiciary, when Maharashtra on Bandh also, the High Court can take this sort of anti-Bandh verdict. But in West Bengal, we are appealing to the judiciary, and we cannot say anything against the judiciary, but on judgments, I can say. And, you know, the TMC is very critical on the judiciary, and Justice Ganguly has become the party candidate. So there is a major perception that several.
But what you're saying is based on your opinion. What we are showing, Jayanto, is the results of this poll. And there, Yashwant Deshmukh, it's very interesting that 74% of Trinamool voters think it's the courts.
They're not Trinamool inside.
They are voters. These voters seem to think it's the courts that will deliver justice. So faith in the judiciary in West Bengal, even among Trinamool voters, much higher than faith amongst the politicians.
So actually it's asked for HC and Supreme Court both. And actually, I would like to see Jayanto Das' argument right in this direction. Just because there is a perception that High Court is completely anti-Mamata, anti-TMC, and right now TMC is being seen as the one, you know, branded as like who are being goofing up on this particular issue. You know, this could also be one of the reasons that many people might be saying that, okay, there would be justice because High Court is anti-Mamata and anti-TMC. You know, it could be also, I mean, it might sound ironical, but that could be the reason that people are hoping that at least HC and Supreme Court will do the justice because they are anti-Mamata and anti-TMC.
Manojit Mandal,
on Supreme Court, they have
such low credibility of the political establishment in Bengal, much higher credibility of the judiciary, including the Kolkata High Court and the Supreme Court.
So Trinamool Congress doesn't have, you know, any issue with the courts and high courts, but there are certain judges, including the one that you took name. That person remained in touch with BJP for the last 1 year, according to his own confession. While he even was sitting as a judge, he was defending Shubhendu Adhikari. We have all talked about it. There could be many more such judges in the High Court. We have reasonable apprehension about that. But we'll talk about the statistic. In the last 3 years only, Rahul, last 3 years, 30, 31 and 32 cases have been handed over to the CBI by the High Court. Last 3 years only. In how many cases you have charged it? Forget about conviction. That has to be also looked into by the High Court. Because the High Court, CBI, they all run on our money. Are they accountable to the people? What CBI is doing? Even in this case, look at this case. Oh my God. The Sandeep Ghosh, ED, CBI, everyone. There is spectacles everywhere. Nothing. No arrest. No charge sheet. Sandeep Ghosh, there 13 days out of 14, 13 days, this person was interrogated. For what purpose? They are going to his house with all the commandos. What kind of a spectacle is, and the result is zero. What is this? We want to know. What is happening? What has happened? What has happened to Sandeep Ghosh? How much he is accountable? How much he is complicit with the crime? Who are the other people accused?
Okay.
No question about
that. I want to take this next
amazing.
question, which is to do with, which is not to do with any particular party, but just to do with how people feel when a female member of their family goes out alone. How do you feel? Do you feel confident that she's safe and not at risk? Do you feel concerned? Do you feel very concerned and anxious? So, if you look at the responses here, amongst BJP voters in West Bengal, 44% are saying they're very concerned and anxious when a young woman in their family goes out alone. Amongst Trinamool voters, those who are very concerned and anxious is much lesser, and that is quite natural because it's their government which is in power. If you look at the number of people who are confident, the percentage of people who say they are confident, maximum amongst the BJP, maximum amongst the Trinamool, lowest amongst the BJP, somewhat concerned, that's kind of equal across all political alignments, and reassured by existing measures, again, much more along the Trinamool category of voters and much lesser amongst the BJP category of voters. Now the critical question, and I want to spend some time over here, Amitabh Tiwari, on whether this momentum, this anti-Mamata momentum will sustain, because the elections are only 2 years plus from now. So she has time to recover. She's shown the ability to recover. There's a big surge post Sandesh Khali. That time Prime Minister Modi was on the ticket himself. Despite that, she came out top. So she will get confidence from that Lok Sabha election, saying if I could beat BJP when PM Modi was on the ticket, I have an opportunity in 26. The counter to that is that there will be a lot of anti-incumbency in 2011 which would have built up, and therefore to go again and try and win this time round would be a much tougher ask than it was in the first and second terms that she won.
Yeah, so clearly there is some element of recency bias in the answers, and the elections are still 1.5 years away. So the BJP will need to maintain this momentum. We've seen how Mamata was able to come on top of the Sandesh Khali incident. Incidentally, 53% of women voters, 11% higher than 2019, voted for TMC in 2024 despite the Sandesh Khali incident. So BJP has to take lessons from that incident, because it is very, very important in any such kind of movements to time the entry, because currently it largely looks like a natural public movement. When do you enter this movement? That's very critical. And with the CBI involved, however, as you said, that almost 15 years of anti-incumbency would have built in, and that is very, very difficult for any political party or leader to muster. But with CBI involved, now CBI has to fast track this case. People are not going to forget that. And CBI's performance will be linked with central government's performance here. So by the time the elections happen, fast track judgment on this case will need to be delivered.
Okay. So I'm out of time on this discussion. I want to thank our guests. What happens 2 years from now, we don't really know. What's very clear is that Mamata Banerjee is on slippery ground in West Bengal at this moment, including amongst Trinamool voters who are not happy with the handling of this case, and that really should send alarm bells. The fact also is that elections are some distance away, so she has the opportunity to recover. It also shows the BJP is in agitation mode and the left front is trying to find its feet again. So politics in Bengal heating up, even though the elections are still quite some distance away. I want to thank all our guests for joining us.